them. A first alert: the Packers Heritage Trail Foundation, affiliated with the Packers and the Hall of Fame, files a lawsuit against the city of Green Bay over plans to move the downtown plaza for luxury apartments. This plaza is located at the corner of Washington and Cherry Streets. It is part of the Packers Historic Heritage Trail, made up of 25 locations through Green Bay and De Pere, that has significance in the Green Bay Packers' early years. Packers Heritage Incorporated asking for an injunction to block the city's plan to move the plaza for development by Nova North, which would construct 268 apartment units and about 5,000 square feet of restaurant space at the ground level of that area. We've previously reported the development would break ground between October and December of this year. There's a hearing about this tomorrow regarding the injunction. We'll bring you more details tonight on Action 2 News.